Hi, this is Abhishek Kulkarni. I'm a chess coach. I am training students of about beginner level and intermediate level from past 3 years now. I have trained about 20 to 25 students till day, and I've also conducted a lot of free chess classes from past 3 years. And I have been an enthusiast of this sport from past 12 years, and I follow this game very closely. Today, we will be learning chess. The topics for today, what I've chosen is our history of the chess. Let's look at the brief history of where we are, where we stand. What is a game of chess? We'll see some of the basic of the rating system in the chess. We see very basic rules. I'm pretty sure each one of us know some of the basic rules, but we'll try to recap in a more professional way. We'll also see some of the special rules of chess, and also a vague idea of how to approach a chess game. These will be the topics that will be addressed today. Let's start with the history of the chess. As a chess coach, it gives me okay, as a first, chess is a recreational and a competitive board game that's been played across the world, and it's mostly played between the two players. These days, chess has various kind of formats. It may be 3-player chess or a 4-player chess, but traditionally, or let's say authentically, chess is played only between the two players, and it is one of the most traditional and most played format all across the world. Chess has its roots and mentions in the history or in Indian literatures back in 8th century. That gives me also an immense sense of proudness to be a part of the game and learn this game, and also propagate the idea of teaching this. Only in the 16th century, the game progressed to the western parts of the world, where Middle East and European countries tried to follow this game and made it more modernized. Also, in 19th century, the game took the whole new turn when a committee called FIDE, which was a regulatory board which used to monitor, and it is still monitoring the game of chess, was formed, and the game became more standardized and came to the common grounds where every country came together to participate on the common grounds. Now, when in 20th century, there was a rise in computers, everyone thought that the game of chess is dead because of a supercomputing power of the computers, where it can crack down any given position, any given complex positions in a matter of minutes. But to the surprise, just turned out that it cannot be cracked so easily. Even with huge supercomputers today, chess still remains standing firm on its ground, trying to get more popularity despite being put down by computers in recent times. Okay, that's about a brief history. Let's talk about how are players rated in the chess. You might have seen in other sports there are rankings. So there is rank number 1 player in the world, number 2 player in the world. Similarly, in chess, it is the same. So there are rankings given to the players, and each player is ranked based on something called as ELO points. ELO points is a system where players are rated based on their relative scale of performance. If I have to explain what is a relative scale of performance, it is just a fact that how strong opponent you're facing. For example, you might be winning your game or you might be losing your game, but the points you gain out of these games or you lose out of these games will largely depend on how strong or weak opponent you're facing. Stronger the opponent, you win, more the points you get. Less strong the opponent is, you lose the game, more point you lose. So this system is called ELO system or ELO pointing system. Of course, that goes to say that more the ELO points, better player you are. And today, only FIDE, as I've already mentioned in my previous slide, FIDE is the only regulatory board that has a privilege to issue these ratings. And you can find a lot of chess players rating on FIDE website as well. All right. So some of the basic rules we will cover. I'm pretty sure, as even one who understands what is the meaning of a chess would know all these rules. So the objective of the game mainly or largely depends on capturing or putting our opponent's king under attack in such a way that our opponent has no legal moves to make on the board. This also says that if you are able to achieve such a condition, the term then would be called as checkmated, which would then immediately end the game. Of course, while you want to checkmate your opponent's king, your opponent also wants to checkmate your king. That's how the game goes. And it is also evident that leaving your own king under attack or exposing your own king for an attack from your opponent, you cannot go ahead and attack your opponent's king. So you have to safeguard your king from all the checkmates of your opponent and then go ahead and attack your opponent's king. King, queen, bishop, knight, and pawn are like a building blocks of the chess game, and these are also called as pieces. These pieces move over the board, trying to create a fight over the board. So you can think like a typical war scenario where a king, along with his army, is trying to win over other territories' army. This is exactly like this. And let's go and see how each of these pieces move. King can only move one square in any direction, up, down, or to the sides, or to the diagonally, and king carries no points. So in a pointing system, each pieces in a chess have their own points. King carries no points because, or technically we can say it has infinite number of points, because once the king is captured, we know that the game ends immediately. So we cannot rate or we cannot give points to the king. This very important point to note also about the king is that king can go only one step where there is no check. Check means a square that is occupied or that is being controlled by our opponent's pieces. A queen is a most powerful piece, which of course, if you don't consider king, which just moves at the end, but not really participates in an attack. The queen is considered as the most powerful piece, which can go sideways, forward, or diagonal, and it carries 9 points in total. The rook may move as far as it wants, but only in the forward and backward directions, or in the sideways. And rook carries 5 points. The one thing rook cannot do is rook can never go diagonally. The bishops, on the other hand, just move diagonally, and bishops carry 3 points. Knights go to the square, and the movement of the knight is slightly tricky. Knights go 2 squares in one direction and then move to the 90-degree angle to the left or right, just like a shape of an L. Knight also carries 3 points, just like bishop. And finally, the pawns. Pawn move forward, but capture diagonally and then carry 1 point each. Let's see some of the basic rules. Every time chessboard is set up in a manner, we have to know or note how is it set up. Every time the chessboard is set up in the similar fashion. The correct way to place your board is to see that a light colored square comes always to the bottom right of a player. It doesn't matter whether you're playing as a white or it doesn't matter you're playing as a black. Always remember, light colored square always comes to the bottom right of a player. Okay, also note there are some notations on the chessboard. Like you can see on any chessboard that there are numbers and there are alphabets, numbers ranging from 1 to 8, alphabets ranging from A to H. What are these notations? These are called ranks and files. The numbers are called ranks and alphabets are called files. Files and ranks are key to name a square or a move on a chessboard and is very important for a notation purpose. Let's learn some of the special rules. Okay, we learned some of the basic rules, how the pieces move, how to set up the board. Let's see if there are any special rules in chess. Okay, there are 3 special rules in chess, but I've put 2 for this lesson. One is called castling, other is called en passant. Castling is a move that allows you to put your king to the safety as well as get your rook out in the middle in one single move. Castling is a only move where two pieces are moving simultaneously. And this is also a very important move as this move puts your king to the safety. And for all of you who wants to learn what is castling, I've represented it via image where king goes 2 steps towards the rook and rook comes 2 steps towards the king. And by doing this, this move can be called as castling. Though there are a lot of variants in castling, one can be called as king side castling, other is queen side castling. That is too much for this class. Let's go and see what is en passant. En passant is a special rule which allows the pawn to capture diagonally, even though the pawn is not really on the square where the pawn is actually capturing. Here, if the pawn moves 2 steps closer to the opponent's pawn, and by doing so, the pawn lands either to the right or left squares of our opponent's pawn, then the opponent's pawn has a privilege to take our passed pawn using a rule called en passant. En passant literally means passed by in French. Finally, let's see how to approach the game of chess. Chess is really vast. It takes ages to conquer this game. But let's start with some of the fundamentals. The fundamental rule says you have to always control the center. When I say center, it has to be 4 squares which we are talking about. D4, D5, E4, E5. Remember, D4, D5, E4, E5 literally means the name of the squares which we used using a file and a rank naming systems. Okay, next rule says develop all your minor pieces. When you want to go on an attack to your opponent king, and finally you know to win, you need all your forces acting for you. So you should bring all your pieces which you want to participate in an attack, as well as sometimes use them as your defensive weapons. Next, you should never waste your time moving same pieces again and again on a chessboard. Always make sure that you develop all your pieces, as well as at the same time make logical moves so that all your pieces are active, are participating in the game, and not just one piece is just moving all across the board. Castle your king. We studied what is castling. Castle your king to the safety. Put your king at the same time. Bring the rook, which is in the corner of the board. Usually, it is so difficult to get the rook out of the corner into the game, but castling will help you to do that. Also, put your king to the safety. Connect the rooks finally, and bring the rooks on the open file so that they have a good movements and they have some of the squares to control. Remember, all of this, checkmating should be your final aim and objective. To support this, you should have a defensive weapon, attacking weapon. You should see the quality of the pieces, and you have to calculate logically and conclude your calculations. Remember, the core of all of this is development, king safety, material, and center control. Without this, you cannot really approach or really conquer the game of chess. Final word of wisdom from me: chess may have the reputation of being a game of brilliant people, but it's a common misconception always. With chess is just not easy to learn, but it's always also fun to play if you understand the very basic idea of the game. You might find that with little practice, this game can be conquered easily, as well as you can become a very competitive player. Remember the famous quote, every grandmaster was once a beginner. This lesson ends here. End to the lesson here. I would like to thank UrbanPro for giving me this chance. Also, if you have any queries, I would like to address those queries happily on the platform of UrbanPro. Also, given another chance, I would like to continue this lesson and engage with you again on a different topic, continuing where I left. At the same time, I wish you all safe health and stay healthy at your home.